Hey Rob, we wanted to talk today about how National Geographic, our brand really for the last 132 years since we were established in 1888, has been about science and fact-based journalism and giving readers information about the world around us. And so you are really key to that in anchoring our environmental coverage and a lot of our science coverage. And I wanted to start out today talking about how we know that over the years, trust in journalism, which was at a high in the mid 1970s in America after Watergate, has been dropping ever since and hit an all time low 4 years ago in 2016, in large part because of political polarization. But actually, when it comes to science coverage, we are still out here just giving people nonpartisan facts about things like coronavirus, about climate change. So tell me a little bit about how that has evolved over the years for you and what, for example, you did this year to highlight some of the latest facts that we have about climate change.
Yeah, thanks, Indira. I've been in this science journalism racket for more years than I care to admit, but I started at the boom of popular science back in the 80s, and I've been at Geographic since about 11 years now. And yeah, we've been through some ups and downs on in terms of public attitudes towards it, but I think science has always been and remains a kind of oasis, and especially in these partisan times, an oasis of an institution that people still look up to. And so I'm lucky that I'm able to write about that. I decided early in my career that that was the subject for me. And I think we have an opportunity and an obligation, especially at National Geographic. We've always reached out to sort of both sides. We have a wide spectrum of readers, and so that's increasingly rare. And it's kind of a privilege we have to reach a wide variety of people and to give them fact-based information.
So we have millions of readers not only in North America but around the world in many languages, and they've been relying on us a lot for our coverage of this pandemic. But one of the things that we did that was so unique this year was our April Earth Day issue. That was an anniversary of the 50 years since the first Earth Day. That was really your brainchild. Tell us about how the issue came about and what was so special.
Yeah, so as you say, it was the 50th anniversary of Earth Day, and we decided that it wasn't just another anniversary, that it really corresponded to a time when we're at kind of a fork in the road in terms of global environmental issues. And I think if you're paying attention to the news these days, I mean, the pandemic itself, but the fires, the hurricane, I think the awareness is sinking in that we're really at a crucial time. And so we didn't want to just look to the past. We really wanted to look forward. And so we asked the question, what will the Earth be like in 2070 on the 100th anniversary? And we presented the issue for the first time as a flip book. We basically outlined two distinct visions of the future, one good, one in which we save the world, and one in which you turn the issue upside down and we lose the planet essentially. And the point of that was to give people a way of feeling not only the urgency of environmental problems, but also to give them a sense of agency, to give them a sense that they have a choice in the matter. And I think that's absolutely crucial on environmental issues in particular.
That's one of the key things we've seen in people's reaction to science journalism is that the more that they feel that they're seeing not just problems but also solutions and things that we are showing them again in a fact-based way that they can do, the more they get involved, as you say, agency. So tell me a little bit about the cover story you wrote in March on the end of trash. That sounds very woo woo. Like, is that even possible, the
Yeah,
end of trash?
yeah, I think utopia gets a bad rap. I really think you need utopian visions, and the circular economy certainly is one. It's the idea that we can redesign our economies basically to eliminate waste in all its forms. And I basically went out on a reporting tour to try to find places where this was starting to happen. And the point of it is people need visions like that to steer towards. You don't you can't you need to give, as an environmental journalist, it's absolutely crucial, of course, to give people realistic sense of the problems they're facing. And so we write about the melting of Antarctica and Greenland, and I've written about the drying of the West and things like that. But you also need to give them a sense of purpose and of possibility. And that's what we've been trying to do lately, especially this year, to look more towards the future and to present the sort of hopeful visions of the future.
Our attention has changed, of course, since April, when we were so focused on Earth Day and climate change, and it has really sort of refocused on the pandemic. We've published literally scores and scores of stories about the science behind COVID and its spread and the environmental impact and the health impacts, as well as dedicating, an issue to past pandemics and how those were solved. You're working on our November issue. Tell us how you saw the coronavirus play out in the way it's affecting not just health, but also the environment and the natural world.
Yeah, well, I think we've all been horribly shocked by this terrible year. There's, the pandemic is continuing to cause, terrible suffering. And I think for the environment, the important thing is to just try to think about in what in what sense could this crisis be an opportunity. And it'll be an opportunity, it'll turn out to have been an opportunity if it causes us to stop and think in some fundamental way about the way we are doing things on this earth, about the way we're getting energy, about the way we're using forests and the seas and so on. And I believe that's really possible. I believe moments like this are times when people are open to considering sort of fundamental systemic change. I mean, I think you see that happening on race relations in this country. I think it could happen on the environment too. At least I'm hopeful it would be. And so for that November issue, I've written an essay that tries to make that point.
Well, I really appreciate it, Rob, and I really appreciate all the reporting that your team and the science team are doing to really ground everything we talk about in this conversation in facts and get away from, opinions, but really base it in what the science is of COVID, of climate change, of environmental change, and what we can be doing about it. Thanks so much, Rob.
Thank you. It's a privilege.